You're listening to Rooted, a podcast that we release every week on Thursdays at 7 o'clock. You can find us on SoundCloud at Forrester Radio Rooted, or you can listen to us on Forrester Radio 105.5 WQHU. My name's Peter Price, and I'm here with Kyle Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and all that?
Well, I am in a band called James and the Drifters. That is not my full-time job. I have a full-time job in social work. I've been doing it for about 3 years. I graduated from Ball State, so I'm not a Huntington native. I grew up in a small town called Milford, which is right in between Warsaw and Goshen. Found myself in Huntington after post-college, just kind of looking for that next thing for me. I wound up being a part of a church in Huntington called the 509. It was really neat to be a part of that at that time. I'm sure it's great now. I don't live in Huntington any longer. I'm in Fort Wayne now. But it was just very much community oriented, and I lived in a house with some other dudes. So anyway, that's how I got to Huntington, and that's kind of what brought me here. And
now you say you're in a band called James and the Drifters, and your name is Kyle Jackson. Mm-hmm. How did the name James and the Drifters come about?
Well, so I said the community that we were in at the time. So the band kind of formulated out of that community. So there was just a huge focus on art and creation and just feeding into each other's creation and making it something greater. And so out of that, myself as like a amateur songwriter at the time, I was all about it. And so there were three of us within the community at the time that we were all like, we all have like a handful of songs. Let's get together and let's go record these, and let's record on each other's songs and make them way cooler. And we were coming back from that. It was insane. We knocked out like in 8 hours, like 18 songs or something.
Gosh.
Insane. Wow. It was stupid. Like they didn't sound good, but we had so much fun. And we were coming back from that, and we're like, yeah, we need to start playing out. Like this is a good little thing we got going on here. It wasn't even intentional. It just kind of fell into our laps. And so we were like, well, we'll just sit on it for a little bit. And so me and my friend Tyler, who is no longer in the band, but we've been through 15 members over the course of 7-8 years. But so we were driving around town, and there was this random dude named James, and he was in a different place. We'll just say that. And he put his thumb out, and we picked him up, and he was just saying the most ridiculous stuff, and we thought it was hilarious. Over the next couple days, like we were trying to, it's really hard to come up with a band name, like a good one. And we debated so many times, changing the name, but that's how we got James and the Drifters. And, when you get like 2,000 followers on Facebook and, everyone knows that that's your name, it's really hard to change your name at that point.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even want to change it at this point. Like it just kind of is what it is. I'm not like thrilled about that name, but like, I don't know. Somebody said something the other week, and they were like, "Well, that doesn't even apply to this." And I was like, "This whole band was built on things that don't necessarily apply, So, yeah, that's kind of how we got the name. And then we actually met a few other people within our community. People within our community interacted with some other people named James that made it evident to us that was a sign that we should, that we made the right choice, even after we'd already done that.
If someone doesn't know what kind of music you guys play, what would you guys describe it as?
Man, it's really hard, especially because I feel like every album is just the product of the members that have been in it at the time. And, when it first started, it was super folk. It was like me on acoustic. I've always been on acoustic. That really hasn't changed much. I dabbled in electric for a while, and it wasn't working out. So me on acoustic, and my buddy Brent played electric, and he pretty much did everything. There was a show where he played electric, mandolin, and kick drum the whole time, when we were first getting going. And then Tyler played accordion and sang, with focus on the harmonies. And Tyler and I still play together. We play in like a little side project band called Oh Sister Brother. But so back to the genre, like our first album was super folky because it was just that little 3-piece, and then our friend Amos added some songs to it too. So we had some like piano. Amos Cayley used to be the front man for Attaboy.
Oh,
yeah,
okay, yeah.
Back in the day, and he did that for years and years, and then they moved out to New Jersey, and now they're in Philly. But yeah, and then the second album, we started to introduce a little more like electric guitar, but still definitely folky. Third album was like, I think I played electric on that album, so it was okay.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, and then our fourth album was All That Gold, and I think that was a big turning point for the band. Like we kind of found our groove as far as what we wanted to create. We got into a little more electronic stuff in the background, but like kept our roots with the folk rock. And then a year later, we went to Muscle Shoals, Alabama, and recorded at Fame Studios with Ben Tanner from he plays in Alabama Shakes, and he produced it. And we got to meet John Paul White at Sundrop Studios. It was really fun, just like a super unique experience. And we spent way too much money on an Airbnb, and we just wanted to, it was like it was almost like a honeymoon phase. Like we were just like, oh, that's all right, baby. We're gonna drop some money, So that was and that was, we wanted to kind of put out like a more of a soul.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Every single album's kind of been this like evolution. And to put a genre on it is really, really hard. But when you talk to producers or, record labels, they want to be able to put a genre on you. They want to be able to classify you so that they can market you. And that's been really hard for us,
Yep.
And when we have those talks. So
I remember you were saying that there have been like 15-ish members that have been going through.
Uh-huh.
What's it like having all those different changes in your band with new people, bringing new ideas and all that?
Yeah, I mean, it's good and bad. Every time a member leaves, it's really, really hard because not only do you lose somebody that you really care about and that you've kind of grown to love, if you didn't already, before they were a part of it, but you also realize that there's something missing now and you have to fill that void. So you bring in somebody new. Well, that's great. We have somebody new, but now they have to learn all of our songs. And then you have to, go through the chaos of teaching somebody your entire catalog so that they can play 3-hour sets with you for $400 on a Friday night,
Yep.
At least that's what it was initially. And, I'm thankful for the group that we have now, and I'm very encouraged because I don't think that we'll have any more changeover for a long time. If anything, we'll add somebody, but I don't think we're going to be losing anyone until all this is over. So that's a comforting feeling,
I can imagine having people there now to stay.
Yeah, exactly. Please don't go.
Being in a band and having people coming and going as much as they do,
Mm-hmm.
how do you guys stay like a family or like a group of brothers? How do you guys stay
Mm-hmm.
close?
I mean, we've had a few crossroads. There was one time where like 3 guys left at once, and that was shortly after All That Gold was just released. And man, that was hard. That was really hard. But I mean, the fact that like we replaced them with very talented people, and we were able to find people right away that were so eager you know, we kind of used that energy to just kind of push us forward. Like, they were so pumped to be part of this band. You know, I mean, a lot of times it's like this brand is already created. Like, we've put in the work. We've done, like, everything. You just have to climb on board and ride the ship, you know. So that's super fun for somebody to want to be a part of that. It's not like we have to beg people to be a part of this band at this point. It's super encouraging for me that we were able to find people that were like-minded, you know, because there've been people that have approached us and it's just like, nah, you know, well, I don't think this is the right fit for this band. And so we were just super fortunate, super lucky to find the right people. But yeah, I mean, it's very much a brotherhood. You know, we're pretty involved in each other's lives. I mean, we practice weekly, sometimes multiple times a week. Just depends. Everyone's got full-time jobs, and yeah. So I think we're all wanting the same thing. We're all feeding into the same thing, and it's kind of keeps us together. You know.
I completely understand. You kind of got to have that brotherhood when you're going around with a bunch of guys all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
How do you guys like focus on God at points? Because, like, I know that's something that could be hard, like with a bunch of different guys with a bunch of different viewpoints.
Sure.
Or something.
Well, and I don't think I've ever like discussed this with anyone, but this is not a Christian band. We don't market ourselves as a Christian band. Some of us may be Christians, but we don't, I guess, market ourselves that way. That's not what we're looking for. Like, we very much, I mean, if you listen to our music, you can, you know, Christian or not, like, you know, any faith really. I mean, you can sense that there's something really beautiful here and there's something to connect with. So I guess that's my hope, more so than anything else. But yeah, I mean, as far as the spiritual side, I am a Christian. Man, I mean, a lot of times, you know, music isn't, it's not like every song that I write is I'm looking to like make some, you know, religious statement. It's more so just like these are real issues in my life that I'm dealing with, and I can't express them with my words. I'm going to use my voice, you know, to its fullest, you know, not just the words but the music to communicate, you know, the struggles or the joys, the highs and the lows of what's going on. And we all kind of feed into that, whether they're a Christian or not, you know.
Is there any song in particular that you can think of that has like some meaning that you would like to share with us about?
So there's a song on All That Gold, which was our fourth album, that's it's called Hallelujah Song. And I wrote that about, so when I was a senior in high school at Wawasee High School, there's a neighbor's school. They aren't like a rival or anything. It's just a nearby school. It's a small school. It's called Fairfield. And for whatever reason that year, there were like 4 or 5 seniors that like died in car accidents or whatever. And they were all from Fairfield. And it was just like, what is going on here? That song kind of came out of that, you know, just looking from the outside and seeing all these people that are like way too young, or I mean, in our eyes, you know, to be moving on to the next life or the next level. Yeah, I mean, the lyrics are, we were driving around town with the one headlight, singing songs from the good old days. We were blowing through signs when the world went white, and we woke up singing songs of praise. So tell my pa that I always loved him well. Tell my ma that I'll see you soon. And tell the love that I left that I never met, there'll be a heavenly honeymoon.
If you would have advice for any inspiring or upcoming artists, someone who's just getting into all this, what would it be?
You just got to keep making music. And I mean, I've been doing this for close to 8 years now. And when I was in college, I played in like a worship team, like on the outskirts of town. It's for this church, small church. And man, it was so much fun. But that's kind of where I got my start playing in the church. And I mean, playing every week, whether I wanted to or not. I had to, because nobody else was going to do it. That's the beauty of the small church. But especially if you form a band, if you're just doing it on your own, I mean, it's so easy. But to do it with other people, in my opinion, is so much more fun and so much more enjoyable. And you could say that about any journey in life. But if you decide to form a band and pursue music in that way, I mean, 9 times out of 10, especially when people are coming and going, like, you just have to resolve that you're not going to quit. I'm not going to let this go. I've worked too hard for this. It's just don't give up, you know? I mean, and it sounds so silly. It sounds so trivial, but like, it's so true. Sometimes you just got to look at each other and just say, we aren't going to quit. We're just going to keep going. And even though we don't know what's going to happen, and even though things are super frustrating right now, we're just going to press on and we're just going to play. Man, like the last person that left the band, we were at a crossroads, and myself and Andy, our guitar player, we looked at each other and we're like, man, I think we're done. And then Dan, our drummer, he's like, no, I mean, we can't. Like, we never have and we won't. Like, we just keep pushing on, and that's what makes great bands. Like, you just keep making music and you just let it pass. That's kind of the secret, is just persevere. Just keep pressing on.
When is your next concert where people could come and listen to you?
So what we've been doing for the past couple years is playing locally. You know, when I say locally, I mean, you know, greater Fort Wayne area. You know, the occasional Chicago, Nashville, you know, show. But what we're really trying to do now is, you know, we've saved up our money. We've you know, created the band business, the LLC. You know, we're ready to take that next step. And so what you'll see, you know, in the future is, you know, us booking more Nashville, more, you know, Lexington, Louisville, Chicago, Grand Rapids, Columbus, hopefully, you know, Cincinnati, all of these Midwestern, you know, greater Midwest shows, or these markets in the greater Midwest, you know, Indianapolis, and just trying to formulate, I mean, because we're all going to continue to do our full-time jobs until we have either an offer that tells us that we don't have to do that anymore, or we reach a point where we have such a sustainable audience within the Midwest that we can do it realistically. So, whichever comes first.
Okay, well, thank you for coming on and talking with us all about this. It sounds like you guys had one heck of an adventure.
Yeah, so far so good. Thank you.